I'm Dr. Joanne Kelder, interviewing Hans, who lectures in counselling at Table College.
Hello, Joe.
So Hans, can you please explain to us, how do you know what your students think about your teaching?
Look, basically I think the best way for me to gauge how students think is in the class itself. So, you know, you're looking at the students. If they're paying attention, you get an idea that they're thinking things are going okay. Often there's discussion, so I allow discussion in the class, and I allow people to ask questions at any time that they feel there is a question to be asked. And then that question can often create discussion in the class itself. So I find that interaction style of teaching fairly important, and because students are free to ask and they're free to have a discussion, you can sort of more or less see that there are some students who are quite lively and they're involved, they're really thinking things through, and so this sense of engagement, I guess, gives you a sense of where you're travelling. Also, when I do the practical counselling in class, so they actually evaluate me, so I'm actually doing the counselling in the class, and they'll ask me why I did this, why I did that, why I did this. And so again, there also you can gauge, you know, how the students are really involved in every aspect of the lecture. So lectures go for 3 hours. So often the first half hour is theory, a lot of practical stuff. Sometimes there's student presentation. So I vary as much as I can. And so because there's variety in that, you can, you know, students tend to be engaged in the whole process. So they're really just sitting there getting long lectures and yawning. There's something happening to make that. So I guess the classroom tells me that things are going okay.
And can you comment on the formal evaluations that students complete at the end of each semester? How does that, what sorts of information do you get from that?
No, at Table we have a week 6 assessment and a week 10 probably. So just before the close, so 12 lectures. So 11 or 10 anyway, so the students get a chance to fill out the form. I need to leave the class at that point. So they fill out the form, and then there's some discussion questions. And so the students have a discussion about how the lecturing is going, and then I receive that form and also the results of discussion that students have, and I need to look at that with another lecturer or the registrar, and we discuss what's happened.
So this discussion, is that led by a fellow member, a teacher from Table?
No, it's student-led. So it's completely student-led discussion. So you know, normally you appoint someone in the class to lead the discussion and someone to take the notes, and so that becomes part of the assessment that's there for lecturers at Table. Yeah.
And have you found, how helpful or unhelpful do you find that? How do you respond to that?
Look, what has come up recently is that the students would like to have more feedback on their assignments, and certainly feedback that would help them, say, maybe increase their mark. So the feedback part of the assignments, some students were disappointed that the hand assignments and the feedback I gave wasn't really helpful. So I needed to really, I guess, take that up and say, look, I need to give you more feedback and more elaborate, I guess, more a deeper way of giving feedback. Yeah.
Now you have a present that two students gave you at the end of the last delivery.
Yes.
Can you show it to us on the camera, and then describe what was your response to this present?
Okay, so this is a couple, and the writing's actually in Greek, so it's Fred and Susie. Susie, yep. And so what it is that I often used Fred and Sue as an example of a couple. So I'll make this drawing of stick figures, Fred and Sue, and then explain to them what's happened. For example, you know, Sue comes with an emotional issue and Fred comes back with a rational answer. Well, that doesn't work. And so I guess they picked up on Fred and Sue being the couple that I use in relationship counselling course. And the reason why they wrote it in the Greek is because in one class I explained that there were 3 Greek words for love. Well, the 3 I used were agape, philia and eros. And instead of writing them in English, I wrote them in Greek, because I learned Greek. I learned New Testament Greek way back when I did my Bachelor of Divinity. So I wrote it in Greek, and I guess I was being a little bit of a show-off. But I kind of figured, look, if I know it in Greek, I might as well write it in Greek. These are students, you know, also doing ministry courses. Some of them are learning Greek. So anyway, so they picked up on the Greek that I used. And the two students who actually gave me that were two students who were quite challenging for me, actually. I remember on one occasion, you know, we're doing counselling, and they're late with their takeaway coffees, and I really decided to, I really disapprove of that sort of thing. You know, let's have respect for the class. Expect you to be here at 20 past, not strolling at 25 past when we're doing something. Anyway, so it was those two students who I guess, you know, there was a bit of banter with them in the class and a bit of humour. So I guess what they did was they sort of returned the humour and bought me a t-shirt. But I think what this reflects is that's important for lecturers, I think, to have some sort of relationship with students. If some students prefer just to come and learn, others want to be a little bit more engaged. I think, you know, I think part of my teaching is that whatever level of engagement they would like to have, in a professional way, I'm quite happy to give that to them.
Thank you.